Hey everyone, it's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. Welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. I know it looks dark outside. Honestly, it's pitch black out, but I promise it's like 7 in the morning. But we're in winter and it's Buffalo, New York, so we don't see the sun that often. It is time to talk about some anticipated releases for 2022. If you haven't already, I did do an anticipated reading list for 2021, and sometime this month you'll see a recap to see how many of these books I ended up purchasing, how many I read, and those that I did read, how did I feel about them. So let's continue the tradition and look ahead to 2022. I should caveat that there's lots of different places for me as someone who loves food writing to find anticipated releases, but it's a little bit more challenging actually to see future publications versus what is new in a quarter. So quarterly recaps are actually really helpful for me to see what's been published, but forward facing, it's a little bit more difficult. One of the places I normally go to besides Publishers Weekly used to be really understanding, like from the James Beard Award Foundation, what was out in the world, but the James Beard Award Foundation did not host awards this year. So this first list, because I could do more later in the year if you're interested, these are what I found on Amazon's book section. So I should also specify that it's hard to find food writing as a filter, even within Amazon books. So these are books I found actually under, so I'll actually put right here a couple different hierarchies if you're looking for food writing books on Amazon. Sometimes they get slotted in essays, sometimes they get slotted under industry and business. So you kind of have to know where to look, which can be really frustrating if you're new to this space. So I'll leave these hints here and links down below to any of these books. I'm actually going to link them out to bookshop.org if the books are available there, because when you make a purchase on bookshop.org, 10% of your purchase is going to support independent bookstores, which I'd much rather give my money to bookshop.org than Amazon. But alas, let's look at Amazon for the food writing list that I have. So starting at the top, let's see if I can search. So sorry, my computer's right here. Let's see if I can, I can't filter and sort by anticipated publication date on my Amazon wish list, or if anybody else has figured that out, just tell me how, and I will go from there in the future. But let's get started. Welcome to Waiter's World, the essential guide to serving food and drink by Joel Hauchik. This is actually a December 2021 release. I just know I'm not going to purchase it till December 2022. If you're more interested in the world of waiters and what it's like to work as a waiter, I highly recommend the memoir Waiter Rant. I read that, oh my gosh, probably almost 15 years ago, and it was just so good. Staying in the food service industry, food and aviation in the 20th century, the Pan-American ideal, food in modern history, traditions, and innovations, by Bryce Evans and Amy Bentley. This comes out January of 2022. It does not give a specific date, which means it might get pushed. Next, the 10-year plan, how the founders of Tender Greens scaled their heart-centered brand, by David Dressler and Eric Oberholzer. This one also came out in December. Next up, coming out in January, I think it says January, The Next Supper, The End of Restaurants as We Knew Them and What Comes After, by Corey Mintz. This is written this was written in the last year, so it's really going to be discussing how the restaurant industry has changed because of COVID. I think this is going to be super exciting to read about. I was actually having this conversation with my husband about even the Michelin star ranking system. How can you rank a Michelin star eating experience when a lot of us, most of us, should have been in shelter in place and staying home? And even as we start to come back out into the world and then recede back indoors as the new variants come out, what does that mean for the world? Will there ever be a Michelin star for the best food delivery? Because I think about it like, I've had bad DoorDash experiences, bad Grubhub experiences. What is the world going to be like if predominantly we don't go out to eat as much anymore? Next up, Satisfaction Guaranteed, how Zingerman's built a corner deli into a global food community, by Michelin Maynard. This will come out February 22nd, 2022. I love anything about a historic Jewish deli or a historic business that survived the the pressures of staying in business, especially for I believe Zingerman's is in New York City. If you can be an establishment that lasts that, like, stands the test of time, I think it's really exciting. I'm kind of bummed. I'm not sure if my purple is showing up on camera, but I just got my hair darkened yesterday, or I got the purple put back in, deposited, and I feel like it doesn't come out on camera, but I'm really excited. Sorry, it's early. I'm a little all over the place. Next up is a very approachable, I would say, children's book. Alice Waters Cooks Up a Food Revolution by Diane Stanley and Jessie Hartland. This comes out January 18th. I'm working with my local community to launch a book club about food and understanding where your food comes from, and I've been really interested and challenged in finding kids' books, picture books that talk about food and reconnect people to food. For kids, it's really like an educational tool, and I think this would be a really beautiful book to get my hands on. Next up is The Running Shaped Hole by Robert Earl Stewart. Judging on the fact that there's a donut on the cover, I think this has something to do with running, but I'm not really sure. Running and food, excuse me. This comes out March 22nd of 2022. So let me see what I can look inside. A searching, self-deprecating memoir of a man on his way to eating himself to death before discovering the anxiety and fulfillment of distant running. Okay, there we go. When Robert Earl Stewart sees his pants lying across the end of his bed, they remind him of a flag draped over a coffin. His coffin. At 38 years old, he weighs 368 pounds and is slowly eating himself to death. The only thing that helps him deal with the fear and shame is eating. But one day, following a terrifying doctor's appointment, he goes for a walk, an act that sets the running-shaped hole in motion. Within a year, he is running long distances, fulfilling his mother's dying wishes, reversing the disastrous course of his eating, losing 140 pounds, and, after several mishaps and jail time, eventually running the Detroit Free Press Half Marathon. At turns philosophical and slapstick, this memoir examines the life-altering effects running has on a man who, left to his own devices, struggles to be a husband, a father, a son, and a writer. I am always interested in these kinds of stories. I do find them sometimes very challenging as someone who has struggled with her weight her entire life. I'm a powerlifter. I am an athlete. I'm active. I work out 4 days a week. I've ran a marathon. I've done Spartan trifectas, but I've always had this excess of weight that I carry on my body, and knowing that I lost my dad to pancreatic cancer this year, but knowing that my dad had heart disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and tons of issues like that, I am actively trying to negate the risks of that, and it's always been quite a struggle for me. So I've been told that I am a very healthy fat person, essentially. My blood work comes back clean, my blood pressure is great, my cholesterol is great, I work out, I am active, but I still carry extra weight on my body, and it's something that can, it's really hard sometimes to not overeat or not fret about every single piece of food I put in my body. I digress. So to get back to the book, I'm excited to read the book. I always approach these kinds of books with caution, because when I ran a marathon, I did not lose, 50 to 100 pounds of weight. I lost a little weight. I trimmed out. Don't get me wrong. It was good for my body, but sometimes I go, man, why wasn't this my experience? Okay, next up, a February 10th release by Kate Hughes, Going Zero, One Family's Journey to Zero Waste and a Greener Lifestyle. I think this is going to be great. I hope it doesn't come off, preachy or hoity-toity, but I do always think that there are great tips to learn about reducing your waste. As a small business owner, I get a lot of things in boxes, and I always feel bad. I break down my cardboard and I recycle it, but I always feel like when I take all my cardboard out to the curb, I look like such a wasteful human just because of the amount of cardboard I receive. Now, I've set my settings on Amazon that I want cardboard, I want compostable, I want recyclable, but I think this will be a really good book. I also have a compost bin in the backyard and other things. Sorry, I was distracted by my cat and I'm trying to figure out what she is fretting about, but we'll find out later. Okay, we're about halfway done. Next up, Feeding Fascism, The Politics of Women's Food Work by Diana Garvin. This is considered out of stock, even though it hasn't come out yet. I wonder what that means. I wonder if it's just a generic setting and they can't tell you. Oh, okay. I clicked in on the link on Amazon. February 3rd is when that book comes out. Next up, by Mike Gibney, is Food Through the Ages, A Popular History. Mike Gibney, I believe, wrote a book called Sous Chef that I remember quite enjoying. This actually came out December 3rd. So it's already out in the market. I just haven't gotten my hands on it yet. Maybe Mike Gibney isn't the one I'm thinking. He isn't who I think he is. I love the rankings, by the way, that Amazon has for different books. So bestsellers rank for books. Even though this book hasn't come out, it has a rank. That's weird. Second, it's number 357 ranked in potato cooking. What is potato cooking? Like, Amazon, why do we have ranks like this? Do people, like, buy cookbooks just for potatoes? I mean, I guess they must if they have this. Or did someone, like, just do a lot of hashtagging and then they were like, potato cooking? I don't know. Next up is a January 11th release, Carbonation, How Coca-Cola Stole Our Health and the Battle to Take It Back. That one's that one is fairly self-explanatory. Next, Pure Adulteration, Cheating on Nature in the Age of Manufactured Food by Benjamin R. Cohen. I love this world. I think this book comes from the same publishers who made The Poison Squad that I read earlier this year, and I really think I'm going to like this book. So this came out abroad December 9th of 2019. I think it's just hitting a US cover or a US publication, and that's why it's hitting technically my anticipated release list. Next up is the book Milk Craze, Body, Science, and Hope in China, Food in Asia and the Pacific. So this one is already out as well. It is by Veronica S.W. Mock. Next up, a December 14th title, so coming out very soon, Savory Memories by Linda Elizabeth LaPinta. Apparently this is the Kindle edition. I don't buy Kindle books actually for food, but that's okay. So I might have to actually take this one off my list because I really don't buy Kindle books. Sorry, that's nothing. If you like reading on a Kindle, that's great for you. I work on a computer all day, so I like to get away from my computer to enjoy my books, and that's just me. All right, we've got a couple more left. Next, The Devil in the Details, Mike Ripka and the Torchy's Tacos Story, February 1st, 2022. So I don't know a lot about Torchy's Tacos just because I have never had a chance to eat at them, but I have heard about this this taco business down in Texas. I'm super excited. I'm really confused why Amazon has pre-order dates on these books, and then they say that everything is unavailable or out of stock. Like, clearly it's out of stock because it hasn't been sold yet, so, like, why is this an issue? Like, I want to pre-order it. Another book that is coming out in the spring, January 31st. Oh, sorry, no, December 14th. I'm sorry, December 14th. Bali Coffee, Origins New Wave. Coffee is the most popular drink worldwide. Around 2 billion cups are consumed per day, 400 million cups in the US alone. We're going to be focusing on Bali. Bali soil is rich in nutrients from its volcanic mountains, and many coffee farmers in Bali grow their coffee beans alongside citrus fruits, which gives them a nutty and unique flavor. This looks more like a coffee table book, but I am super excited to have it. I really want to learn more about certain ingredients and where they come from. I definitely have Coffee Land and Uncommon Grounds on my TBR, so I'd love to add this. Okay, next up, January 22nd, Holy Food, Recipes and Foodways from Cults, Communes, and Religious Movements. I think this is going to be really funny to read. Next up also is a January 15th release, and that is Tamu, A Guest at the Bornean Table by Brian Coe. This comes out January 15th. I have heard a lot about this book, that there's not a lot about Borneo and, like, Bornean food, and this was very well received. It made I guess like the early press, about this book is very positive. But let me give you a brief description in case you don't know a little bit about Borneo. Little has been written about the cuisines of Borneo. There you go. The fourth largest island in the world, occupied by 3 nations, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. Fascinated by its history, astonishing biodiversity, and peoples, Coe spent 4 years traveling across the island to meet some of the myriad communities contributing to its culinary landscape, from the indigenous ethnic groups like the Iban, Dusun, Murut, Malays, and Banjarese, to settlers like the Chinese, Javanese, and Bugis. The result is a rich engraving and kaleidoscopic tamu, the guest at the Bornean table, written as a travelogue with food firmly at its core. More than just culinary information and recipes, Tamu also sheds light on the lives, culture, and tradition of the people that make up the fascinating land. It also is rich with information on the lesser-known botanicals that form the foundation of the island's local cuisine. As with his previous 3 literary endeavors, this book is sumptuous with food and location photographs, all of which is executed by Coe, who also designed the book. So you're wondering, okay, well, Brian Coe has 2 other books. He has made quite a lot of really interesting covers. I'll put them over here. Milkier Pigs and Violet Gold, Philippine Food Stories, which came out this past January. This cover is adorable. I'm going to have to add this to my list. And then Bikwo, Stories and Recipes from Peninsula Malaysia's East Coast. And that came out in 2019. Wow, he also has this really beautiful illustrated book called Kena, an illustrated guide to Philippine food, which looks a little bit more like, I can't tell if it's a picture book or a cookbook exactly. I mean, it's an illustrated guide, but I think that would be really, really pretty to have. These are so cool. Like, who are you, sir? I want to know more about your books. So look at me finding more live with you all. The final book on this list is Food IQ, 100 Questions, Answers, and Recipes to Raise Your Cooking Smarts. This is going to be released February 22nd, 2022, and is written by Daniel Holzman and Matt Robard. In the spirit of books like Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, and Food Lab, an informative, entertaining, and essential guide to taking your kitchen smarts to a higher level, from 2 food world professors, a chef, and a writer. Oh my god, this looks like so much fun, and I feel like this is the kind of book I give to other people. I can always learn more about food. Sometimes I think and long to just take more culinary classes just so I can learn more about it. I took a 2-week culinary boot camp a couple of years ago, and I loved every minute of it. I actually used a whole week. Oh, it was 1 week. Excuse me. It was 1 week, and I used all my vacation time that year to take that class, and it was just so mumuch fun. And the culmination was to actually cook a meal for my classmates, and I cooked a rack of lamb with za'atar, and I made baba ganoush. I made my own pitas. It was a lot of fun. But I always long to kind of go back to, I cook at home. Dan honestly totally does a lot more of the cooking nowadays because he's working East Coast time. I'm working Central time. But I would love more. I love the teaching elements in going to cooking classes. You learn by doing. You learn by cooking, obviously, but I like having the instruction and learning more about the science behind it. Okay, well, this concludes my first list of 2022 anticipated releases that I'm excited to see in the food writing scene. Let me know down below, which of these books are you most excited for? Do you want me to review any of them? I would love to hear. Make sure on the way down that you hit like and subscribe. As of this video, I am 2 subscribers away from 700, which I would love to hit by the end of the year. I'm really afraid I'm going to hit 700, and then the next day the algorithm's going to be sorry, 17 people unsubscribed, which is fair. It's a numbers game. I shouldn't care, but I do. It would just be really nice. One day I want to get to 1,000 so that I can make ad revenue that's probably going to be pennies at a time, but I digress. This is a very long outro. I hope you are well. Please stay safe, wear a mask, get your booster shot if you can. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.